Hi, welcome to Energetic Self-Defense. This is Grace, and this podcast is all about giving you tips, tools, and techniques that I've learned over the years. I'm not super qualified or anything like that, so just giving you the advance notice. Go find a therapist, a professional that you can speak to. I'm not that girl. This is not advice. This is just saying what I've learned, and it really worked for me, and it's been working with all my clients that I speak to, and I thought I'd do a podcast on it. So, what it's about is changing your energy and changing your life. Recognizing that energy is the very first language. And we should be learning that language of energy over thinking and stinking, right? So, when you learn to recognize your energetics, and you also become aware of the energies, for example, of gaslighting, energies of domestic violence, energies of what a lie, when a lie is spoken, what that energy feels like. When someone's trying to manipulate or control you, what those energies feel like. Because what we tend to do, and I was guilty of this too, is I thought everyone was honest, right? I mean, I knew that there was some really, really bad people out there, but they're just so minor and, I'd see them coming surely. No. So what we do is we want to see the best in people. So when they walk up to us, what do we look for? The energy of what we'd like to see. And that's what we see. But if we're not willing to realize that there are personalities out there and there are energies out there that are incredibly harmful and even life-threatening, if we're not willing to recognize and know what they're like, we can be blindsided because we're only looking for the positive. So this podcast is all about letting you know when someone walks into your life, whether it's a new relationship or a contract, career, family member, in-laws, whatever's going on, and you get that wonk, chances are there's an energy there that you're aware of. But if you knew to name it, just the awareness of what that is in itself can be healing. So this podcast is giving you that information so you'll never be manipulated, controlled, abused again. And if you're in a current situation where that's going on, you will learn tips, tools, and techniques to extract yourself with the most ease. And also, it'll get you to the point, the information on this podcast will get you to the point where your energy changes so much that perpetrators will not choose you to perpetrate on because you're just too much hassle. And if you're looking at it from a purely scientific way, your molecules will be vibrating in such a way that it pushes away. These people don't even come into your immediate environment. When we will be talking about different personalities, whether it's pedophilia or rapists, murderers, we're going to go through all the different personalities that are dangerous so you can know what they look out for. You can know what to look out for, But we'll also be going into the individual energies. What's the energy of joy feel like? What does the energy of a liar feel like? And you'll get to the point where, as I said, it won't even happen in your life anymore. But if it does come across, so you see it with someone else or a loved one, you'd be able to call that energy. And it's going to take a village to change this. But the more and more people that become energetically aware, these sort of personalities, they only thrive in shame. They thrive in silence and secrecy. But when you're willing to say, oh, hang on, that man that when he was tickling that kid, what's that energy? Right? Versus the same thing could be happening and it could be completely innocent. And it's not until you use your awareness, your choice, and your ability to perceive the energies that will let you know whether something is innocent or if something's a red flag. Now, the beautiful thing is we've all been birthed with a gut instinct. However, there's things that get in the way of that. And being in survival brain, if you've had any trauma or you're depressed or anything like that, if you're in survival brain, you're not going to have the ability or the energy to change something. So the very first podcast on this, I really need to emphasize that everything is energy, and anything that you create and generate has to have energy first. So you need to have energy to create something beautiful. You also need to have energy to leave a bad situation. So energy is the first thing that we need to focus on. So where are you at energetically? on a scale of 1 to 10, how's your energy levels? And I'm not just talking about energy levels for, going out for a run, for example. I'm just talking energetically as a being. If you were functioning at 100% you, what would that feel like? And if you were functioning at whatever you're at now, what is that out of 10? Or if you want to do percentages, what percentage? Are you at your best? Or are you depressed? Or, are your molecules slowing? So depending on where you are on, I call this reality traumatic. And I do believe that we're all on the trauma spectrum. Some of us are struggling with it more and more at the higher end. And there's, the lower end where just being involved with what's going on now with COVID, changes in career, having to learn to, sign in and, freedoms and health and all of this is going on. It's traumatic. And one of the things that we talked about in the past with my work is chronic post-traumatic stress. Now, that's what I have due to a domestic violence situation and some stacking of certain things from a car accident, rape, etc. So I've got chronic PTS. However, this reality is drip-feeding stress equally. So, our kids on social media, for example, they've got drip-feeding stress on who they should be, what they should be, how they should be showing themselves to the world. And they're dealing with all these energies without being able to name them. And so what I'm here for is to say to you, hey, if you recognize that there is a dictionary of energies out there is a library of energies out there, and you have the ability to tap into those energies and use them to your advantage, it can not only save your life, it can generate and create your life. However, it takes bravery. It takes bravery to say, okay, I'm going to stop thinking and I'm just going to pay attention to the energies. So one of the things I'd love you to do this week, if I gave you some home play, is start to become aware when you're talking of the energies behind your words. And when other people are talking to you, become aware of the energies behind their words. How do you do that? As I said, we've all been birthed with a gut instinct. However, depending on where you are on the trauma scale, you might not have as great access to it as you'd like. A lot of people, when they are in, for example, a domestic violence situation or in an abusive relationship or dealing with conflict, generally speaking, they're in survival brain. And when you're in survival brain, you actually don't have access to your gut. And a lot of these people, me included in the past, thought, I've obviously got a really wonky gut because I never would have chosen these people to be in a relationship with, or never would have chosen to be in that situation or had that experience. So my gut must be off. And I'm here to tell you, your gut cannot be perpetrated on. It cannot be manipulated. But what gets in the way is that you lose energy. You lose the energetic ability to tap into your gut. And one of the things that can get in the way is when you're in survival brain, you don't have access to your gut. When you're in resistance or reaction, you don't have access to your gut. When you're defending for and against, you don't have access to your gut. And what I'm saying is your gut is gold. That gut instinct, that in a blink of an eye, you have access to everything you need to know. However, as I said, if you're low in energy, you've had some, hard knocks, or you're in a situation where, you've got high stress, chances are your adrenals have been hit, your cortisol is up, and you don't have access to this. So first day, first podcast on this, let's start to get familiar that we're energetic beings. Let's start to get familiar with energies around us. And part of that is this week's home play, when people are talking. So when they say something, it felt light, and then, I've got a German Shepherd dog that does this beautiful head tilt. That's if you find your body going, pay attention. If you say something and it just starts to feel like a blah, 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 or it starts to go a bit wonky, stop. That's saying what you're saying is not required. It's not going to generate and create for you. So this week, if you wanted to look at the energies of ease, so when they're speaking to me, is there an ease there? Is there a flow there? Is there a lightness there? Or when they said that statement, is there a wonk there? And a lot of abusers, for example, do this thing where they tell a partial truth and then they hook in a lie. And I like to use the example of, saying to you, gee, you look lovely in that outfit. If you lose a couple of kilos, it'll look even better. So when you first start, that first part of the sentence, when you heard it, you were wearing something you felt good about, let's say, and that person said, gee, that's a nice outfit. There's a lightness, right? There's an ease, there's a flow. You don't feel contracted. But when they keep going on the sentence and say, if you just lost a few kilos, it'll look even better, there's this wonk. There's this, huh? And that's typical of gaslighting. That's an energy of gaslighting. There you go. So when you recognize it, your inside voice goes, the first part of that sentence is true. Gee, that's a nice outfit. Yeah, that felt light when they said that. That felt free and easy. There's an ease to it. And then when they said, if you lose a few kilos, it'll look even better, kind of sunk in energy, contracted, felt wonky. That's the lie. So there was a truth, great outfit, mixed in with a lie. And this is one of the things with gaslighting that they do. They give you their awareness of their reality and perpetrate it on you. And if you're not aware of the subtleties of energy, you would have bought the whole thing. Because it started with the truth and it made you feel good and you opened up to receive that energetically, it's very hard to go, I received the first part, but the second part, I don't receive it. That's where I'm getting you to go to. But initially, if you don't have that awareness, you're going to feel good. It's a truth. So therefore, the second part of the sentence must be true too. We tend to conclude. And so energetic self-defense is getting you very clear on when people say something, what's true and what's not true for you. Right? So have fun this week paying attention to when you say something or do something, is there a lightness? I give the example in one of my other podcasts on domestic violence that when you're being you, think of yourself as a flower. When you're being you, the center of the flower is your beingness. The center of your flower is that gut, that all-knowing, connected to everything, connected to the stem and the leaves and the earth and everything. But the flower also has petals that are connected to the center of the flower. And I call these petals your inner community, your parts. Now, if you've had a healthy upbringing and you haven't had any stress or anything go wrong, chances are you've got some pretty healthy petals that generate and create for you. Kind of like having your best friends around going, yeah, go for it. This feels really good. Choose that, do that, create this. And you can also have parts that are disassociative or disenfranchised. Now, these parts are you, but they're actually you from a past reality. So it's either a past reality in this lifetime, or if you want to go real woo-woo, it can be past reality with epigenetics. They've proven scientifically that we carry trauma at least 4 generations past. And if you want to go even more woo-woo, it can actually be that there was another lifetime, that you had a really traumatic event, and so this part has followed you through into this lifetime. And if you ever find yourself confused, should I do this? Should I do that? I don't know. Well, I can tell you, you're not in the center of your flower. You're functioning from one of your flower petals. And when you're functioning from a flower petal, and let's say this flower petal is a disassociated part that's hypervigilant, that's had a traumatic experience of being attacked, it's going to say, don't go out. And let's say it got attacked in a shopping mall. So if someone invites you to a shopping mall, that petal is going to go, whoa. No, I heard shopping mall, and it's going to give you a body response of what happened that part had an experience of that caused the stress. Now, if you're functioning from the petal, you're going to feel as though, oh God, that person asked me out and I got a really bad feeling. My whole body was like, oh God, don't go to that shopping mall. But what's actually true is that you've hopped off the center of your flower, you've been hijacked by that petal, and the petal doesn't want to go to the shopping mall. but it actually might be generative and creative for you to go. But you won't get that information because you're not connected to your gut, you're not in the center of your flower, and you've tethered with or blended with that petal. So you think you're sad, or you think you're scared, or you think you're upset, or you think you're confused. But it's actually a petal having a post-traumatic response that has nothing to do with the current reality. It's just that it's being triggered. Now, of course, a petal can be triggered because maybe your gut was, you shouldn't go to this shopping mall. But you won't know if it's actually going to generate and create for you to go or not go when you're functioning from that petal, because that petal's point of view is don't go. And it's based on a fear response that it had in the past. Whereas if you're in the center of the flower and you get the information from the petal, then you can make your own choices. And a really cool example is my dog. I love my dog. And she was trained as a service dog. And you have to, in the first 14 weeks of their life, give them like insane amount of exposure to, you get this paperwork, like from gunshots to, people with wigs and backpacks and people coming at you with umbrellas and all sorts of things. Anyway, so this dog got a lot of experience in the first 14 weeks. But when it was really, really young, part of it was taking them into coffee shops, just getting them used to plates being dropped and noise of people talking and people coming in and out and stuff, kids screaming or whatever. And it just so happened that there was this ex-police, I shouldn't say he was ex, he was in charge of looking after the dogs in the police force. And he said, do you mind if I give you some information? And I was like, yes, I'd love that. And he said, well, your dogs are sensitive. And I said, what does that mean? And he says, the most valuable person in the pack, or most valuable dog in the pack. And I said, oh, that's great. I said, what is a sensitive? And he says, well, you'll have the leader, the alpha. However, the sensitive is more valuable than the alpha because alphas change, as the dogs get older and they're always, sort of moving as such. He says, but the sensitive lets the alpha know, no, don't go down there, or we need to go here, or we need to speed up, or we need to turn back. And so I said, oh, that's like a psychic. And he laughed and he said, well, I guess you could call it that. But we in the force, we call them sensitives. I said, okay. And he said, they're the most valuable because they're always going to keep you safe. He says, and he says, this is what's super important. The alpha gets the information from the sensitive, but has total autonomy on whether they believe it or not. Because they've been chosen as the alpha. And they can recognize that, yes, that dog might say, hey, we need to speed up or slow down. But after they've listened to the counsel of the sensitive, that alpha might go, okay, thank you for saying that. And I hear that you want us to go down there. But however, I've tuned in and I've looked at everything and yep, you're correct. I'm not going to go down that path, but we're not going to go down the other path that you think. We're going to go here. So it's like a king or a queen listening to wise counsel and then governing from their sovereignty. And this is what I would love, a trauma-informed society where we recognize, oh, we're speaking from our petal. Let's get back to the center of our flower. Or someone I love or work with is functioning from their petal. So let's not get hijacked by our petals because their petal has just said something or done something that makes me want to freak out. Let's be in the center of our flower and recognize. And then there's tips, tools, and techniques to deal with whether as someone is, just a kind person who's just having a freak out because their petals is being triggered versus dangerous personalities and dangerous energies. So you never, ever get controlled or perpetrated on by anyone. So I've thrown a lot at you, but basically I'm here for you every week. I'm going to be sharing with you the different energies available for you to choose, as well as the energies that are out there. And energies that you can bring into your body and bring into your business, etc. Because ultimately, when you have a business, let's say there's two coffee shops not side by side, but on the same strip, and their coffees are exactly the same price, and they're using the exact same coffee beans, and the only difference is one of the coffee shops is all about gratitude and caring and expansiveness, and maybe they offer that out of every coffee sold, so much goes to a certain cause. Or maybe they don't do any of that, but just when you go up to the shop, you just feel better. You don't know why, you just feel happier. Which one are you going to go to versus the other one where it's like, yeah, or maybe that there's a rude person, or maybe you don't get treated very well energetically. Maybe the floor is a bit, just doesn't have a good vibe to it, or the kitchen doesn't have a good vibe to it, or the people look a little bit stressed. You've got to realize everything's energetic. And so when you're willing to say, okay, hang on a second, I'm choosing that coffee on how I feel. It's the same thing. So if you choose energies in your business, and your business has these energies of gratitude and creation and kingdom of we versus me, 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 and, you're just a number and you don't mean anything, you got to realize, this is going to make the difference. And it's the same thing in relationships. Do you want to be with someone who has your back, is generative and creative, is willing to be all energies available to generate and create with you? So I'm opening up a supermarket or a library of energies that you might not even know exist, that if you did know existed, would change your life and living. However, the main focus for now is I'm going to go through the different energies of people who perpetrate, abuse, because I really want you to get very clear on what these energies are and how you can respond to these people. And at the same time, we'll get to the generation creation elements as well in each show. So I want you to pay attention this week to the difference of energies on ones that feel really light and expansive and free, and ones that feel contracted and kind of make you do that head tilt. And pay attention to whether you're in the center of the flower or not, because we don't want, petals hijacking us. And if you'd like to know more about the petals and trauma and dealing with dissociative parts, etc., please hop over to my domestic violence, Beyond Domestic Violence podcast, because we really get into looking at the inner critic and how that reduces your energy and doesn't allow you to see possibilities, and looks at all the things like disassociation, disenfranchised parts, and how to actually get out of that trauma brain and start to thrive again. So Beyond Domestic Violence is the place for that. But energetic self-defense is a whole different world. It's actually allowing you to be the magic you be, allowing you to be the maestro, allowing you to be the alchemist, the creator of your life. And but you can't actually get to the point of creating an orchestra, if you like, if you don't know the different instruments. And so this is all about the energetic instruments that you can generate and create the most beautiful orchestra and the most beautiful contribution of sound and the being that you be for this world. And I do believe that we're heading into a space and place where energies are going to be talked about even more than they are now. And just like everything that it takes time, but just recognize the energy is available. Okay, that's a good focus for this week, and I will catch you next week, and we'll get more into particular energies, recognizing them and what to do with them. We'll start with the personalities that are they're perpetrators, and they're dangerous people, dangerous energies. Let's become aware of them so we can recognize them and know what to do if we're confronted by them. And then eventually, as I said, get to the stage where you recognize it so much and you've changed your energy so much that these people don't even come into your stratosphere, not even a blimp on your radar. So that's the world that I see, where we are aware of all energies. We are no longer controllable, and we can generate and create a greater world because of it. All right, take care, and I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.